Welcome, everyone. Welcome, lambs, to the last midweek episode of season 3. Yeah. I know we are in 2024, but still, this is the last midweek of season 3. Season 4 actually starts on this Sunday, the 7th. So please stay tuned for it. And season 4, I think, is going to be way better than seasons 1 through 3. I think. I could be wrong. I'm biased. This is my podcast, so of course I'm going to think that. So this midweek mini is not actually mini at all. It's kind of going to be like a full episode, but it's a case that I've been thinking about for some time. Well, since it came out in the news, but I'd had everything already pre-recorded for December. If you remember, I was taking December off. So this one is actually a current recording. I just wanted to talk about this case. Now, I'm going to tell you the case, which is the case of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you my thoughts about this case and the reason why why I wanted to talk about this. Now, I understand some people may not agree with my thoughts. I'm getting used to that, and I'm prepared for it. But it is what it is. I'm going to say my thoughts, and then I want to hear from you. What do y'all think? Before we get into it, I just want to remind you that this episode and all my episodes are sponsored by my Lamb Patreons. I do invite you to become a Lamb Patreon, patreon.com/loveandmurder. Season 4 of my Lamb Patreon is going to be even better than the previous seasons. So I invite you to join us over in there. So let's get into this midweek mini that's not really a mini. So as you know, if you've been listening to the news, Gypsy Rose Blanchard is out of prison right now, and she's looking for a fresh start. Some of you may not be familiar with the case of Gypsy Rose, so I'm going to tell you about the case, and then we're going to talk about current day. Gypsy Rose's parents, Rod and Dee Dee Blanchard, first met when they were in high school and dated about between 4 to 6 months. At the time of their meeting, he was 17 and Dee Dee was 24. When Dee Dee found out she was pregnant, she decided that it was time for them to get married, and Rod agreed, so they did get married. However, he divorced Dee Dee when he was 18. Quote, "I woke up on my birthday, on my 18th birthday, and realized I wasn't where I was supposed to be. I wasn't in love with her really, and I knew I got married for the wrong reasons." Shortly after they divorced, Gypsy Rose was born on July 27th, 1991. From the time of her birth, Dee Dee said that Gypsy Rose had multiple medical issues. When Gypsy Rose was 8 years old, Dee Dee said she was suffering from leukemia and muscular dystrophy and said that Gypsy Rose required a wheelchair and a feeding tube. She also convinced doctors of various other illnesses like epilepsy and other things, which then had Gypsy Rose going through unnecessary surgeries, getting medications that she really didn't need. Now, when she was 3 months old, Dee Dee had convinced the doctor that Gypsy Rose had sleep apnea. So she ended up getting a CPAP machine. Some of the surgeries she also was subjected to was procedures on her eyes because her mom said something was wrong with her eyes. She got her salivary glands removed. And because of the medicine that her mother had her on, and probably the fact that she wasn't taking care of her teeth and she didn't have salivary glands, Gypsy's teeth rotted. And so her mom just had them pulled out. Now, according to Rod, he really thought that Dee Dee was just a really devoted mother to his sickly daughter, and he was really happy about how she was caring for his daughter. But when some of Dee Dee's family was paying attention and noticed that it didn't seem like Gypsy Rose really needed a wheelchair, they started to ask questions, and Dee Dee grabbed her daughter and moved away. The way she was able to move away was because that was around the time of Hurricane Katrina. So she claimed to be a victim of Hurricane Katrina and got assistance to move from Louisiana to Missouri in 2005. In Missouri, she continued to bring Gypsy Rose to doctor's appointments and said that, Gypsy Rose's previous doctor's records were probably lost in the hurricane, so I don't have anything to give you from, back when she had medical procedures and everything like that, so you're just going to have to take my word for it. And doctors seem to have done that. While all this is going on, Rod did try to maintain a close relationship with his daughter until she was about 10 years old, and that's when Dee Dee and Gypsy had moved away. Around this time, Dee Dee had started to lie about Gypsy's real age. And Rod actually recalled a time when he called Gipsy on her 18th birthday and he wanted to make a dad joke about, hey, you're an adult now. It's time for you to pay some bills and some taxes or whatever dad joke he was going to make. And right when he was about to say something about her 18th birthday, Dee Dee grabbed the phone and said something to the fact that, don't forget that Gypsy Rose thinks that she's 14. So although they were in Missouri since 2005, in 2008, this is when they actually got their home, which was built by Habitat for Humanity. And they got this home in Springfield, Missouri. The home was painted pink, and Habitat for Humanity made sure that it had a wheelchair ramp for supposedly sickly Gypsy Rose. Dee Dee also got benefits for Gipsy, like charity-sponsored visits to go to Disney World or charity-sponsored visits to go to concerts, all of that stuff. And Dee Dee got a lot of attention for being such a strong and supportive mother. Now, when Gipsy was actually 14, she saw a pediatric neurologist named Bernardo Flasterstein, who kind of was like looking over Gipsy and was like, she doesn't have any symptoms for muscular dystrophy. So he went ahead and ordered some MRIs and some blood tests, and he found nothing wrong with her blood. When Dee Dee came back for a follow-up visit, he said, quote, "I don't see any reason why she doesn't walk. Everything that I see in her muscles, her blood, everything, it should show that she can stand on her own and support her own weight." So Dee Dee got like flustered and, left the office or whatever. And so this doctor contacted Gypsy's doctors in New Orleans, and they told him about the original muscle biopsy they'd done and that it had come back negative. And also they told him that her records hadn't been destroyed in the flood. So then this doctor started thinking that maybe Gipsy was a victim of Munchausen syndrome. And so while he's, trying to figure all this out, somehow Dee Dee ended up getting access to his notes and she got all the notes from the office and then just stopped taking Gipsy to see this doctor. And then the doctor, in his own right, never reported the case to authorities. In later interviews, he said that he didn't believe there was enough evidence for him to be able to act. And he also said that other doctors had told him to treat the mother-daughter duo with, quote, golden gloves. So based on the fact that he had all of this and, other doctors are telling him, like, don't mess with them, just let him be, just do whatever, he thought that maybe police wouldn't believe him anyway. However, in 2009, an anonymous report was made to authorities saying that, I think Dee Dee saying that Gypsy Rose is sick is a lie. I don't see any medical basis that this is true. And they also said that, hey, Dee Dee's also using different names and birth dates for herself and her daughter. Basically, she has false birth certificates. So it says it was just an anonymous report that was given. I wonder if it was this doctor, but being that it's anonymous, we'll never know. So because of this, 2 caseworkers went to the house and Dee Dee spoke with them. Now, she said that, yeah, I did this. However, the reason why I'm using these wrong dates and false birth certificate is because my ex-husband was abusive and I'm kind of hiding from him and I don't want him to find me and Gipsy. So without actually talking to the ex-husband, Rod, police were just like, gotcha. Okay, I understand. And closed the case. That was it. They said that Gipsy did seem genuinely mentally disabled and they just closed the case and went about their day. That was it. No proof, just a word of a woman. And that's all it took. Now, fast forward some years. June 14th, 2015. Dee Dee's Facebook page posted something that was really crazy. It said, "The bitch is dead," all caps. And then another post came after that one which said, "I fucking slashed that fat pig and raped her sweet, innocent daughter. Her scream was so effing loud. LOL." So, of course, friends and followers of the page ended up calling the Springfield police and said, "Hey, can you do a welfare check on this house?" So police were dispatched, and when they got there, they found Dee Dee's bloody and dead body in her bedroom. She'd been stabbed 17 times in the back and looked like she had been dead for days. And in actuality, she had been killed on June 9th. So that was like 5 days ago. Now, police knew that Gypsy Rose was sick, so of course they started crazily searching the house for her. So they searched the house, who could have done this to her mother? And oh my God, what's going on with Gypsy Rose? She can't live without her mother. She's so sick and everything like that. And they couldn't find Gypsy Rose. So a news conference was held. The community was in a panic. Where is this sickly child at? And yes, I ended at a preposition. While they were searching for Gypsy Rose, police received a tip from someone named Aaliyah Woodmansey, and she claimed that she was actually a friend of Gypsy Rose's. She told them that Gypsy had been secretly speaking to an online boyfriend, and it seemed to her like the relationship had been getting a bit serious. Now, let's go back a little bit. As Gypsy got older, her mother started noticing that she was getting a little bit harder to control because, teenager, and Gypsy started doing a little bit of stuff on her own. One of the things was going online. She went on a dating site for Christian singles, and that's where she met Nicholas Godejohn. And they talked online for 2 years before finally meeting in person. Their conversations online and through text were about starting a new life together, getting married, having a family. They'd even gone so far as picking out names for their kids. So they finally met each other in 2015 and went to a movie together. That was their first in-person date. Their second in-person meeting was June 9th. So now back to the investigation. So remember, somebody had posted something on Dee Dee's page. So part of the investigation was police used the IP address to track the person who posted the messages on Facebook. And that led them to none other than Nicholas Godejohn. They found him at his home in Wisconsin. And shockingly enough, they also found Gypsy Rose. And shockingly more, they found that she was walking and standing on her own. So police took them both into custody. And during their investigation, they found out that everything Dee Dee had said was a lie. Gypsy Rose was not sick at all. She was never sick. She was a healthy young woman. Her age was wrong. Her health scare was wrong. Everything was a lie. The only thing that was wrong with her was she had a couple of rotten teeth, but that was basically probably due to the medications, not taking care of it, this and this and this. Now, while Gypsy Rose and Nicholas was there, they went ahead and confessed to the murders. They told investigators that the plan was to free Gypsy Rose, and the only way they could do that was to kill Dee Dee. Wow, I just realized I said Dee Dee like Dexter's Laboratory. Dee Dee. I'm sorry, I meant Dee Dee. Quote, I wanted to escape her. And so they went into detail to the investigators of what the plan was. Gypsy said that on the night of the murder, she had talked her mother into, let's do manicures together. So they did manicures, and then Gypsy put Dee Dee to bed and told her that she was going to be a, quote, good girl. I mean, she's like freaking 25 by now. I mean, she's like 18 really or something like that. But you're going to tell your mom you're going to be a good girl? Like, you're not a baby. But I guess in her mom's head, that's what she thinks, whatever. So that put Dee Dee in a calm state of mind, and she fell asleep. That's when Gypsy Rose told Nicholas how to get into the house, and she ended up going to hide in the bathroom while Nicholas stabbed Dee Dee 17 times in her back. After Nicholas did this, the two had sex in Gypsy's room. Once they were done with that, they took $4,000 in cash and drove to a motel outside of Springfield. They stayed at the motel for like a few days trying to plan what they were going to do next. And Gypsy said that by that point, she thought the two had gotten away with what they did. Nobody had come to get them. They didn't see anything on the news, so they just thought they got away with it. They put the knife, the murder weapon, in an envelope and mailed it to Nicholas's home in Wisconsin. And then they hopped on a bus and drove back to Nicholas's hometown. So both Gypsy Rose and Nicholas were arrested, extradited to Springfield, and held on a $1 million bond. Now, after it came out how Dee Dee had treated Gypsy, this is when everybody stopped looking at her as the good and devoted mom and started having sympathy for Gypsy. Both Gypsy and Nicholas had been arrested for first-degree murder, and first-degree murder in Missouri can carry the death penalty or a life without parole penalty. But prosecutor Dan Patterson said that he wouldn't seek either of these penalties for Gypsy or Nicholas because he said this case was, quote, extraordinary and unusual. Now, part of the evidence that Gypsy Rose's attorney wanted to bring forward was her actual medical records from Louisiana. He used that to secure a plea bargain to second-degree murder for Gypsy Rose. And in July 2015, she pled guilty to second-degree murder. Her plea bargain was accepted, and she was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Nicholas, on the other hand, because he was the one who actually initiated the murder plot and carried it out, faced a more severe charge. Now, even though his lawyers came out and said, it was because of the abuse and he was just trying to save Gypsy Rose and, he fell in love with a woman and this and this and this, people still didn't have any kind of sympathy for him. Now, although his trial was supposed to be for January 2017, it was postponed because his lawyers said he had a low IQ. They said the IQ was 82 and that he was on the autism spectrum. And so prosecutors were like, well, we want a psychiatric examination of our own. His lawyer had done a previous psychiatric eval and they wanted one of their own. Also, Nicholas had initially waived his right to a trial by jury, but then in June of 2017, he changed his mind. So after all of this, his trial was set for November 2018. And in their opening statements, prosecutors said that this was a premeditated murder and he had thought about this for over a year. In the defense lawyer's opening statement, they pointed out that, he's autistic and his IQ is really low and he was in love with a girl and he thought he was saving her. During the trial, evidence was shown of text messages between Gypsy Rose and Nicholas. In the text messages, some of them were sexually explicit, but others asked Gypsy about exactly how does your mom's room look? Let me know, what do I need to look out for? Is there any creaks in the floor, anything like that? He also asked about her mom's sleeping habits. Does she sleep heavy? Does she sleep light? Do I need to be worried about that? This kind of doesn't sound like somebody on the autism spectrum or with an IQ of 82 to me, personally. They also showed the knife that was used to commit the murder. And they showed the interrogation where he did admit to killing Dee Dee. On the third day, shockingly, Gypsy Rose testified against Nicholas. She said that, she did suggest that Nicholas try to kill Dee Dee so that she can get out of an abusive relationship. But she also said, but then she kind of thought better of it and said that maybe I should get pregnant by you. So maybe if I get pregnant by you, my mom will let me go. She'll let you marry me and we can go off together instead. But the problem with that is Nicholas never told her what he thought about the whole pregnancy plan. So that was it. Literally 4 days of the case. And then it was sent to the jury. The jury's option was finding Nicholas guilty of one of 3 murder charges, either involuntary manslaughter, first-degree murder, or second-degree murder, or finding him not guilty of any of them. So after 2 hours of deliberation, they returned with guilty of first-degree murder and armed criminal action. And in February 2019, he was sentenced to life in prison. He still had another sentence coming up, which was the armed criminal action charge. And he asked the judge for leniency because he had, quote, blindly fallen in love. And for that, he received a sentence of an additional 25 years to be served concurrently with his life sentence. So right after that, he did put in a motion for a new trial, and that was denied. So while Gypsy Rose was in prison, she said that she felt more free in prison than living with her mom because she was now allowed to do what she wanted to do and just live like a normal woman. Gypsy actually didn't talk to the media until after she made her plea bargain. And after she did start talking to the media, she told a BuzzFeed reporter that she was able to search Munchausen syndrome on the computers in prison, and she saw that's literally what her mother had. Quote, I think she would have been the perfect mom for someone that was actually sick. When they asked Gypsy Rose what changed, what made her want to get out of her situation, she said in 2011, she had gone to a science fiction convention. And this made her start thinking of why she was never allowed to have friends or act her own age or anything like that. And she had actually spoken with a boy at that convention and went back to a hotel with him. And, her mom couldn't find her anywhere, basically tracked her down, found her in the hotel with the boy. And then her mom pulled out the fictitious birth certificates and told the boy she's only 14, which she wasn't. But she told the boy she's only 14. I'll call the cops on you, whatever. And then when she got back home, she broke her computer with a hammer. While Gypsy Rose was in prison, Rod reconnected with his daughter and they built a stronger relationship. Quote, she'll always have a home here. We'll put her on the right path. And Rod had remarried after Dee Dee. And so Gypsy was building a relationship with the mother and he had 2 other kids. So she was building a relationship with the whole family. In April 2019, somebody, I guess, was in a relationship with Gypsy Rose while she was in prison and she got engaged. But she wanted to keep her fiance's identity as a secret. She didn't want everybody to be bothering him and everything like that. But people found out later that it was some guy named Ken and they had met as pen pals. Then they stopped talking. Then they got back together in August of 2019 and then they split again. And then in June of 2022, she married a man named Ryan Scott Anderson. How is she having all these relationships while she's in prison? Now, although Gypsy Rose was sentenced to 10 years in prison, she only served 85% of her sentence and was released on December 28th, 2023, which is why it came to my attention. Quote, if I had another chance to redo everything, I don't know if I would go back to when I was a child and tell my aunts and uncles that I'm not sick and mommy makes me sick. Or if I would just point out that conversation with Nick and tell him, you know what, I'm going to tell the police everything. I kind of struggle with that. No one will ever hear me say I'm glad she's dead or I'm proud of what I did. I regret it every single day. I'm glad that I'm out of that situation, but I'm not happy she's dead. And then a day after her release, she got on Instagram and shared her first selfie, which I saw that, which is, again, this is starting to make me think about this case. So she shared her first selfie and quoted it, quote, first selfie of freedom. And it's just a picture of her in the mirror with her hands on her hips, smiling. And so that's literally the case in a nutshell. So before I move on, I just want to hear your thoughts on the case. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. More than likely, I'm not going to hear it because y'all don't like to leave comments. But let me tell you my thoughts on this. So when I saw that she got out of jail, I was like, okay, she didn't have like a life sentence, so you expected her to get out of jail. Then when I saw her posting on Instagram, I was like, okay. Then I went to read the comments on Instagram and everybody's like really supportive and girl, yes, you start your life now and yes, queen and all this stuff. And I'm like, does anybody realize she murdered her mother? I'm just wondering here. Are you serious right now? Then I'm seeing articles where it's stating that people, feel bad for her, feel sympathy for her, everything like that, which I can understand. You feel sympathy that she was basically being abused this whole time, which is literally that's what she was doing. Her mother was a sick one and then putting that on her daughter. But at the same time, she made a conscious decision to murder her mother, help murder her mother, whatever. So I understand she served 85% of her time in prison, but she is still an accomplice to murder. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, she was trying to get out of an abusive situation and this and this and this. However, it wasn't in self-defense. She literally conspired with someone to murder her mother. And then while y'all are feeling sorry for her, talking about, oh, she's been abused and everything like that, right after they murdered her mother, they had sex. Like right after. Like, did he have blood on him still? Did he take a shower? She's just in the bathroom with her ears covered while he's stabbing up her mother. You can still hear stuff with your ears covered unless you have a loud music playing. So she heard it. And then they had sex right after. And let's celebrate her. Are you serious right now? So this is my issue with the whole thing. She is a healthy young woman who knew exactly what she was doing. She doesn't have mental health issues. Yes, she was abused. However, she could have figured out a different way to get out of that, in my opinion, than spending a year thinking about how to kill her mother. Letting this person in the house, hiding in the bedroom, in the bathroom while she could still hear it being done, and then having sex with her mother's dead 17 wounds stabbed up back in another room, had sex with the murderer right after. That's the part that's not giving me and letting me have sympathy. That's the part that's not letting me have any sympathy. And then went through the house, ransacked it, stole the money, and then left her mom's body there to rot. This is the part that's affected my sympathy bone for her. You know what I'm saying? So with people forgetting that whole chunk of the case, they're like, yes, queen, start your life. Yes, you're looking healthy, queen, and all of this stuff. And I'm like, are y'all serious right now? But that's just me. Y'all might think differently. And if you do, you might let me know. You might not. Who knows? I would like to hear from you. You could tell me in the comments below. And in season 4, which starts on Sunday, I'm going to have a different way for you to be able to also tell me your thoughts. It'll be an easier way. And you've gotten kind of a glimpse of it in December. It's going to be more prevalent in season 4. But I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts. I'm going to put out a poll asking if you are one of the people who have sympathy for Gypsy Rose or not. And the polls are anonymous, so you could post your true response. I mean, even if it wasn't anonymous, I'm not going to judge you. That's your business. You have sympathy for her for whatever reasons you have sympathy for her. And if you want to let me know why, you could literally tell me in the comments below. I would love to hear it. I have my own thoughts. This is my own opinions. I'm not trying to push my opinion on you. I would love to hear why you are one of the ones who have sympathy for her. Like I said, that portion of the case blocks my sympathy bone from coming out. So I don't have any sympathy for what she did. I have sympathy for what happened to her. Past that, I don't have sympathy for her. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Before I go, don't forget to join me over in Patreon, patreon.com/love and murder. You'll get daily Kai rants over there. You'll get ad-free episodes, intro-free episodes. I literally just get right into the case. And depending upon the tier that you join at, you will also get bonus episodes for the month. And either way, you will get my love and gratitude. Patreon.com/love and murder. Don't forget, I'm trying to get to 500 lamb subs by the end of season 4. So I'm looking for you to help me with that. Help. And that's all I have for you in this midweek mini. And I will see you in season 4, which is in a couple days. Thank you all for all of your support. Thank you for making season 3 basically the best one I've had yet. And let's make season 4 even better. See y'all soon. Bye.